we're imposing sanctions on more senior officials of the Russian government.
NASA may need to extend our current contract with the Russians and purchase more seats on the Soyuz spacecraft. Very much, Mr. Chairman. Members of the subcommittee, thank you all for this opportunity to discuss NASA's FY 2015 budget request. A more detailed written summary of the request has already been made available to the subcommittee, so my verbal testimony will just touch on the highlights. The $17.5 billion budget request affirms the bipartisan strategic exploration plan agreed to with Congress in 2010, and it ensures that the United States will remain the world's leader in space exploration and scientific discovery for years to come. It's an investment right here on Earth for the benefit of the American people and the entire global economy. I have a chart I'd like to put up, Mr. Chairman, if I may, for the rest of my statement. And I will refer to this chart off and on as we go. This budget keeps NASA on the steady path we have been following, a stepping stone approach to meet the President's challenge of sending humans to Mars in the 2030s. And as you always see on a chart, it goes from left to right, where we are today to where we want to be in the 2030s. The International Space Station remains our springboard to the exploration of deep space and Mars. We guarantee we'll have this unique orbiting outpost for at least another decade, with our commitment to extend it until at least 2024. This means an expanded market for private space companies, more groundbreaking research and science discovery in microgravity.
And today's experiment is called Pepper Oil Surprise.
And opportunities to live, work, and learn in space over longer periods of time. Astronauts aboard the ISS are helping us learn how to safely execute extended missions deeper into space. Later this year, we will see exploration flight test, or EFT-1, of Orion. NASA is pressing forward with development of the Space Launch System and Orion, preparing for an uncrewed mission of the two together in fiscal year 2018. The budget also supports the administration's commitment that NASA be a catalyst for the growth of a vibrant American commercial space industry. Already, two companies, SpaceX and Orbital Sciences, are making regular cargo deliveries to the space station. Later this year, we'll move beyond commercial cargo and award contracts to American companies to send astronauts to the station from American soil and end our sole reliance on Russia.
Over the last several days, we've continued to be deeply concerned by events in Ukraine. We've seen an illegal referendum in Crimea, an illegitimate move by the Russians to annex Crimea, and dangerous risks of escalation, including threats to Ukrainian personnel in Crimea and threats to southern and eastern Ukraine as well. These are all choices that the Russian government has made, choices that have been rejected by the international community as well as the government of Ukraine. And because of these choices, the United States is today moving, as we said we would, to impose additional costs on Russia. Based on the executive order that I signed in response to Russia's initial intervention in Ukraine, we're imposing sanctions on more senior officials of the Russian government.
If Congress fully funds our fiscal year 2015 request, I believe we can do this by the end of 2017. Unfortunately, due to the reduced funding the past few years for the President's Launch from America plan, NASA may need to extend our current contract with the Russians and purchase more seats on the Soyuz spacecraft. NASA may need to extend our current contract with the Russians and purchase more seats on the Soyuz spacecraft.
As we said we would, to impose additional costs on Russia. Based on the executive order that I signed in response to Russia's initial intervention in Ukraine, we're imposing sanctions on more senior officials of the Russian government. In addition, we are today sanctioning a number of other individuals with substantial resources and influence who provide material support to the Russian leadership, as well as a bank that provides material support to these individuals. Now, we're taking these steps as part of our response to what Russia has already done in Crimea. At the same time,
instead of investing $450 million into the U.S. economy to support American jobs, we could be spending that money in Russia. Budgets are about choices. The choice here is between fully funding the request to bring space launches back to American soil or continuing to send money, millions, to the Russians.
The world is watching with grave concern as Russia has positioned its military in a way that could lead to further incursions into southern and eastern Ukraine. For this reason, we've been working closely with our European partners to develop more severe actions that could be taken if Russia continues to escalate the situation. As part of that process, I signed a new executive order today that gives us the authority to impose sanctions not just on individuals but on key sectors of the Russian economy. This is not our preferred outcome. These sanctions would not only have a significant impact on the Russian economy, but could also be disruptive to the global economy. However, Russia must know that further escalation will only isolate it further from the international community.
Instead of investing $450 million into the U.S. economy to support American jobs, we could be spending that money in Russia. Budgets are about choices. The choice here is between fully funding the request to bring space launches back to American soil or continuing to send money, millions, to the Russians. It's that simple. The Obama administration chooses to invest in America, and we are hopeful that Congress will do the same. In addition to continuing ISS research, strengthening partnerships with commercial and international partners, and building the next generation heavy lift rocket and crew capsule to take our astronauts farther into space than ever before, our stepping stone approach includes a plan to robotically capture a small near-Earth asteroid and redirect it safely to a stable orbit in the Earth-Moon system where astronauts can visit and explore it. Our stepping stone approach includes a plan to robotically capture a small near-Earth asteroid and redirect it safely to a stable orbit in the Earth-Moon system where astronauts can visit and explore it.
I assume you sent for me because somebody told you I was the best. Well, I'm only the best because I work with the best. If you don't trust the men you're working with, you're as good as dead. If you want to send these boys into space, fine. I'm sure they'll make good astronauts. But they don't know jack about drilling. What's your contingency plan?
Contingency plan?
Your backup plan. You gotta have some kind of backup plan, right?
No, we don't have a backup plan. This is it.
And this is the best that you could, that the government, the U.S. government can come up with? I mean, you're NASA, for crying out loud. You put a man on the moon. You're geniuses. You're the guys that think his shit up. I'm sure you got a team of men sitting around somewhere right now just thinking shit up and somebody backing them up. You telling me you don't have a backup plan? That these 8 Boy Scouts right here, that is the world's hope? That's what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Our stepping stone approach includes a plan to robotically capture a small near-Earth asteroid and redirect it safely to a stable orbit in the Earth-Moon system where astronauts can visit and explore it. Our asteroid redirect mission will help us develop technologies, including solar electric propulsion, needed for future deep space missions to Mars. Under our asteroid initiative, we enhance detection and characterization of near-Earth objects and improve understanding of asteroid threats to the planet. NASA's fiscal year 2015 budget request continues support for science missions, heading toward destinations such as Jupiter and Pluto. It enables NASA to continue making critical observations of Earth and developing applications to directly benefit our nation and the world. It maintains steady progress on the James Webb Space Telescope toward its 2018 launch. Our aeronautics program will continue to focus on substantially reducing fuel consumption, emissions, and noise to help make the next generation air transportation system, or NextGen, a reality. Finally, all of NASA's investments help drive technology and innovation, spur economic activity, and create jobs. That's why the President's Opportunity, Growth, and Security Initiative, with congressional approval, will provide NASA nearly $900 million in additional funding in FY15 to focus on specific areas where we can advance our priorities. The fiscal year 2015 budget advances NASA's strategic plan for the future. We'll continue to build U.S. preeminence in science and technology, improve life on Earth, and protect our home planet while creating good jobs and strengthening the American economy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be happy to respond to any questions you or other members of the subcommittee may have.